Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Toolkit Talks. My name is Jennifer Smith, and I'm a Public Health Resilience Coordinator with the Office of Public Health Practice Planning and Local Partnerships at CDPHE, along with CoCares, which is the Colorado Alliance for Resilient and Equitable Systems, serving the healthcare and public health workforce. This is video 4 for the Racial Justice Competency Model Implementation Toolkit for Public Health. This was brought to us by the Public Health Training Center Network, the National Network of Public Health Institute, and the National Coordinating Center for Public Health Training. So here is our video topic list. Today is video 4, so we're going to be discussing how to use the RJCM, how the recommendations to use it are. And the past videos, so we've been through 1, 2, and 3, where we introduced the RJCM and we did an overview of the racial justice competencies. Video 2 was what is racial justice and a little terminology lesson and a little bit on racial equity, health equity, and what that all means. Video 3 was when to use the RJCM and their recommendations on when to use it. The next video, video 5, will be surveys and self-assessments. And then video 6, our last video, will be assessing the impact and the next steps to take. So let's get started. So how to use the Racial Justice Competency Model. So step 1 is to map out or audit the organization's existing principles and processes to create a baseline for the organization's starting point. Conduct a pre-assessment of current status of how the topic of racial justice is incorporated into organizational practices and policies, human resource management, and workforce development. So that's something we will talk about in the assessment section, which is the next video, video 5. Step 2 is to revise, refine, or recreate organizational core values and guiding principles that integrate components of the RJCM and align with updates to the organization's strategic plan. So here are some examples of guiding principles. This was from a group in California, and it is linked in the toolkit for their information and all of the guiding principles that they came out with during that working through the toolkit. So here are their guiding principles, and you can feel free to use these and or just kind of use them as examples in creating your own guiding principles. But so their first one is people power, a right to health for all, acknowledging systems and history of inequity, leveraging privilege for impact, centering community voices and community narratives, intersectional movement building, moving to action, and inclusion and accessibility. How to use the RJCM, step 3. Audit and update the existing staff training plans to include competency-based curricula that includes components of the RJCM. Step 4, for current staff, update staff performance reviews with components of the RJCM to assess knowledge and capacity of staff related to racial justice. They've included a framework to categorize pushback in the toolkit. This framework to address pushback that seeks to disrupt, invalidate, or disconnect from initiatives to advance equity and inclusion in work settings. Pushback can happen with many changes. It's not easy to accept changes are needed, but I think with health equity, the terms that they use here, you can see how these can come across even more so, I think, when you're doing health equity work and improvement. So their graphic shows denial, derailing, and disengagement. And the terms here that they'll go through with you are denial, when people don't acknowledge the existence of structures like race and ignore the resulting bias, injustice, or inequity. Disengagement shows up as an unwillingness to take action and support racial justice efforts, which may include struggling with being an ally or active participant in efforts. Derailing attempts to shift focus away from racial justice and focus on experiences of members of the dominant group, which can show up as being dismissive or concerns raised by team members or communities of color. So they give you these definitions, and they also focus on this article that is from Gartner, How to Navigate Pushback to Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Efforts. It is linked in the toolkit. We are going to have that linked in the description as well, but really goes over the most common forms of pushback, what causes DEI pushback, framework to identify DEI pushback, what denial looks like, what disengagement looks like, what derailing looks like, and ways to combat pushback. This is a very important article to read and look through and learn all these terms and what these things look like, so that when they do happen, you have an idea of why and what's happening, and you can be better prepared. So I think we should all make sure, again, we're just making sure we understand everything before we go into change and before we go into this project of racial justice toolkit and how to work through that. So I think they're just giving you, again, more tools in your toolbox to be prepared for any pushback and identify what that is and why it's happening. So make sure you look through that. It is in the toolkit again, and it's also going to be in our description link. And then again, we're going to go through step 5 on how to use the RJCM for recruiting new staff. Create job descriptions that incorporate competencies of the RJCM. And then step 6 is to develop a process that allows for continuous auditing and updates for quality improvement to meet the organization's goals related to the RJCM. So another thing that they link to in the toolkit, because it was created by the Region 5 Public Health Training Center, is the job descriptions model. The Public Health Model Job Descriptions Project is an initiative of the Region 5 Public Health Training Center at the University of Michigan School of Public Health and Center for Public Health Systems at the University of Minnesota School of Public Health. The goal is to create evidence-based job descriptions and attractive job postings that can be easily adapted by local and state health departments. The project began in the spring of 2022 and launched in November 2022. So now we're going to go through the job descriptions website and show a little bit of how you can access this. This is the Public Health Model Job Descriptions Project by the Region 5 Public Health Training Center. So this is the website. And they go into why they're doing what they're doing and who it's for. What is a job description? What is a job posting? They describe a job description as the internal document, and then the job posting would be the externally marketing document to attract candidates. So this is what you would put on Indeed or LinkedIn, something like that. Before accessing the project, they do ask you to complete the form just to get access to it, trying to keep all of that organized so they know who's using it. They do have the job titles that are included in the project. It is my understanding, because we work with them a lot, that they are creating new jobs. It's just depending on the most important ones they're trying to get done first, and then they'll work through different and smaller positions. And a lot of local public healths, I believe, do have different job descriptions because we're all different, so we call them different things. It would be nice to have kind of somewhere to go and say, this is the universal title of this position. But we have so many small local public healths that it can be hard. They may have different titles, and work through different things, like one title, but you're also the public health planner and you work through the grants and maybe you also work on policy or something like that. So we wear many different hats, but this can be just used as a guide and just a toolkit. So they do have the accessing the public health job descriptions, and we'll go through that in a minute. It is something that you can download. So it will be in a different tab that I'll share with you, but it will actually come through as folders with all the information for each job title in the folder is what it looks like. And I'll show you an example of that. They have a user guide with frequently asked questions. The project, like I said, when you download that, it really just downloads into files. They also have a recruitment toolkit that I think could be very useful for people just wanting to know more about how to recruit for certain roles that maybe have been difficult in the past. And I think really this can be used in that aspect of, let me see how they're describing a particular role. And even if you download this and use pieces from different ones to create your specific role, it may be very beneficial just to get that wording right and concise and direct to get those people in looking, who are looking for public health jobs. So I definitely would say check out this resource, use this as much as you can for just information. And anything that the Public Health Training Center has to offer is very useful and great. So we are going to go through and I'll show you how that downloads. We'll go through the user guide too, as well as the different job descriptions. Here we have the Public Health Model Job Descriptions Project User Guide and Frequently Asked Questions. When you download this, it downloads as a PDF, so you can print it or view it on screen. And it really goes through just some frequently asked questions. They go into tips for writing job descriptions and their methods and additional resources and things like that. So I like how they have talked about different things like, can our health department use these descriptions postings as is? How is the project funded? Why wasn't salary listed? About differences in job levels and areas of specialization and things like that. So definitely read these. It goes through just why it's important, certain questions that they've received throughout this project. So I would go through this for sure before kind of posting anything or looking through the job descriptions. They also have the tips for writing job descriptions, which I think are great. So if you do have one that doesn't really match up to one of the ones that they have here, I would say contact them and recommend something like that, maybe for smaller health LPHAs or smaller health facilities where you have a job that they wear many different hats and you're not sure maybe what to call that position or it doesn't quite match up. Maybe they can help you with anything around that. And just look at this example here on how to post, what to put in your posting, and the different sections and things like that. So definitely take a look at these. It kind of goes through just all their information as much as they could put in. And I love that they also give additional resources just in case you need any extra information or you're looking for something a little bit different. So that is a really nice tool, and make sure you go through this during this because they focus on the racial justice as well in these job descriptions. So it will be very helpful if you're redoing anything during this time. Here you'll see my Google Drive and how this downloads when you're downloading the Public Health Model Job Descriptions project. It downloads into separate folders for each job title. So we're just going to go to Administrative Assistant here, and we'll open this file up. And what you'll see is they have the job description, which is that internal use, and then the job posting. So you'll get both when you download. So the job posting itself will show that and how that looks. Excuse my Google Drive for going a little slow here. So administrative assistant is the title. There's an alternate title of office technician, or I'm sure there's many titles for that. And you can see just how they have posted this. The title, location, salary range you can add in. And it just goes into advance our mission along with your career. Bring meaning to your work by helping us build a healthier county. We currently have an outstanding opportunity for an administrative assistant who is looking to be a part of a dedicated and mission-driven team while enjoying excellent benefits, advancement opportunities, and the chance to see how their work directly improves the health of their community. So they go through this whole thing, and there's a little bit of typos. I'm going to fix that, which is, understandable. So just make sure you do go through this and look through. I love how they've listed the benefits and different things. They've made it seem like you're going to be really rewarded for this job and it's going to be a great place to work. So again, make sure that you're offering that as well. You're not just saying it, you are offering a great opportunity at a great location. So again, this kind of stuff is really their disclaimers, I guess, how they're just creating this, but you have to also abide by if you have a human resources department and things like that. I think the smaller locations are kind of their own HR, but make sure to run this by HR for any changes. But again, I think they offer some good information on how to write these. So that's kind of the external one. And then we'll go into the job description, which is sort of that internal, here's your job duties. This is what it entails to be an administrative assistant at our location, at our organization. So same thing in the beginning, but it just kind of has, some little disclaimers here, the summary, location, definition, duties specifically. And then, of course, that may differ depending on where you are, if they work on budgeting, if they work on casework at all. Qualifications and requirements, which I really like, salary, benefits, application instructions, which, if this ever came open again, this would be everything you need to kind of post that, right? Which is nice to have this just done. And if there's any openings at your location or your organization, you literally just can copy and paste these things, which is great. Again, this is kind of that checkoff, I think, too, for going through their one-on-ones and their reviews and things like that. And then competencies, right? So how to list the competencies for these positions. And then these are just their sources and their disclaimers as well. So, but I think it's some great information if you've never done a job description before or a job posting, if there's no information where you came on board and you need something to guide you, these are great. You can also, again, like I said, pull from any one of these if they don't quite match, but your person might do a couple of different things in these areas, then you can kind of pull and paste, but also get back to them and let them know how they're doing with this project. How's it working for you? What are they missing? What are the gaps? Because that's how they're going to make it even better and put out more job descriptions for different positions. So they could have a whole section, maybe one day with our input, if you are from rural or a frontier LPHA, or if you are from a remote location and kind of one person does everything and you call it something totally different. You never know. They could try to work that in somewhere and maybe have a specialized area just for certain areas that differ from just the big public health, right? So we want to make sure to give our feedback. So that was just a little overview of how it downloads. So be prepared to get a kind of a folder with a bunch of little folders in it, which is nice because it's organized and it's ready to go, which is very nice. So take a look at that. It will be linked in our descriptions, of course, on the YouTube channel, but it will also be in the toolkit itself. They link everything that they've used to create the RJCM. So make sure to take a look at any of those links that are included in the toolkit. So here we have a template that they added into the toolkit for developing a plan to incorporate the RJCM for organizational change. This was just found in the toolkit, and you can see that this is just a screenshot here, but it actually is a document that you can use exactly as it is. You can change it. You can just add this to whatever you're currently working on. So you can see they kind of broke it down into steps, which are the milestones. And then you have activities, you have responsible person, you have a start date and end date, and status and notes. So this is kind of like a project management tool. So you're going to have the activities that are involved in that milestone, who's responsible for it, or people that are responsible for it, a start date and end date, and then a room for notes. So you can see step 1 is that mapping and auditing of organizational principles and policies and conducting that pre-assessment, which we will talk more about in video 5 for the assessments. Step 2 is creating the organization's racial justice core values and guiding principles, which we did just go over, and they do include those examples in the toolkit that you can use. Step 3 is when you're auditing existing training plans and trainings. Step 4 is update performance reviews for current staff. Step 5 is creating job descriptions for recruiting new staff. And step 6 is developing continuous quality improvement processes and post-assessments. So I think this is a really great guide to kind of go through all of those steps, right? So use this as you would like to use it. They do include that in the toolkit. Okay, so that was today's video on how to use the RJCM. There's lots of information in there that you can look back on. Make sure to review the job descriptions model even more. Take a look at those milestones and the steps that they're going through, and really use that to kind of go through step by step and just work through it. So again, we'd like to thank the Public Health Training Center Network, the National Coordinating Center for Public Health Training, and the National Network of Public Health Institutes. And again, gaining knowledge and skills around racial justice is a lifelong process, and everyone starts and progresses at a different pace. We encourage you to explore these competencies across levels as it makes sense for you and your organization to do so. And please see their website if you would like to contribute any feedback to the racial justice competencies and this model. Please give them feedback. Let them know you're using the toolkit, any advice or recommendations or reviews. They would love to have it to just make it even better. So our next video is video 5, and that's when we'll be talking about those surveys and self-assessments that you can do, and we'll run through a few of those and go over them with you and show you how to access those. So thank you so much for watching our video today. We hope it's been very informative, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much.